And a hearty Hi-Yo Silver.
No.
Popular television shows are memorable not just for compelling characters, sexy storylines, and dramatic dialogue, but often for the crazy catchphrases.
A dynamite!
Tell her she can kiss my grits!
Hey. Happy.
Whether it is a current TV show or one we have long seen in reruns, we remember shows by reciting our favorite lines that have become part of our language.
One of these days, pow, right in the kiss.
Baby, you're the greatest.
The early days of live television produced some memorable catchphrases, mainly from comedy shows.
How sweet it is!
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a big show, a real big shoe.
Catchphrases actually predate television via radio and films in the early 20th century. But the director of popular culture studies and associate professor of history at Western Kentucky University, Dr. Tony Harkins, says it was not until television aired episodes twice in a season, leading into syndication, that catchphrases became so memorable.
Television has a reach and also a repetition because it's on all the time, and these catchphrases get used a lot, and then the shows go into reruns. Certainly from the 70s on, it seemed like shows in some ways were even built around developing a catchphrase and promoting it.
Will you please stifle yourself?
Hear that, Elizabeth? I'm coming to join you, honey.
God will get you for that.
In the early days of television, catchphrases caught on as TV was part of building suburban culture in the U.S. This, according to Dr. Claire Cisco King, assistant professor in the Department of Communication Studies at Vanderbilt University.
So much of that definition of what it meant to be an American was built around this particular model of family life, of a kind of middle-class existence.
Shazam!
You right.
I do nothing, Commandant.
And I think speaking the language of those characters, quoting from them, repeating them, was a big part of how people built their own identities in relationship with those shows.
Comedy shows provided a wealth of catchphrases from different generations.
We were on a break!
Yada yada yada.
Nothing for you.
What you talking about, Willie?
Bazinga.
An offshoot of comedy, Variety, produced many memorable lines from The Carol Burnett Show to laugh at.
I'm so glad we had this time together.
Very interesting.
Suck it to me.
Vanderbilt professor Claire Cisco King says sitcoms and dramas encourage fans to identify with primarily fictional characters, whereas what differentiates the variety genre was its showcasing of celebrity talent.
But also there's something about the liveness, or at least the illusion of liveness, that comes with the variety show. If they are taped in front of an audience and you get to see the actors flub lines occasionally or laugh on stage, be spontaneous. And so those catchphrases become, I think, a way of reminding us that we're present in that moment, of bringing us into that shared experience.
However, comedy and variety shows were not the only type of program that produced memorable lines.
Holy nightmare.
Batman.
Look, up in the sky, it's a bird.
It's a plane!
It's Superman.
Danger, Will Robinson. Danger.
Vanderbilt professor Claire Cisco King says when it comes to the genre of science fiction, speaking that language makes the fantasy world more real for the fans.
I think what attracts people to science fiction in so many ways are the utopian possibilities, and the Star Trek universe is one filled with diversity and equality and acceptance, and I think that provides hope to people.
Make it so.
Resistance is futile.
Live long and prosper.
The identification that comes with being a Star Trek fan is so important, feeling that you have a place to belong. But then, of course, it also allows you to connect with other people.
From comedy to science fiction, whether intentional or not, TV writers and producers created memories in dramas and crime shows, too.
Good night, Mama.
Good night, John Boy.
I love it when a plan comes together.
Meanwhile, even more serious shows came to the forefront.
Book 'em, Donald. Murder one.
Oh, listen, just one more thing.
Who loves you, baby?
Hey.
Let's be careful on it.
Vanderbilt professor Claire Cisco King says newer police shows give us a sense of order, while older crime dramas allowed the fans to long for a bygone era.
So that nostalgia allows us to imagine that there was a time when there really was sense and law and order in the world. And so, yeah, I think those older catchphrases can be a way of signaling, whether erroneously or not, the loss of a better time.
And that's the way it is.
Catchphrases were not just limited to fictional shows. News anchors also capitalized on memorable closing lines.
Good luck and good night, Chet. Good luck, David. Good night for NBC News.
Good night and good luck.
WKU professor Tony Harkin says the catchphrases used by TV news anchors has waned in recent years.
Those things were, I think, a way of sort of showing the place and the gravitas of these figures. And maybe the fact that they don't have those anymore also shows the kind of diminishment of their authority.
From early newscasters, the success of catchphrases was also evident from certain memorable news stories.
If it doesn't fit, you must acquit.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Professor Harkins says the popularity of catchphrases was not exclusive to television shows because entertainment and politics intersected with President Reagan.
Ronald Reagan, in some ways, is the person who turns this corner where entertainment and politics increasingly merge and where catchphrases become a sort of expectation almost. Whoever comes up with the best catchphrase maybe has a leg up politically.
The thrill of victory and the agony of defeat.
You are looking live at RFK.
If news had memorable lines, so did the world of sports.
You believe in miracles? Yes!
No, I don't hate Balboa, but I pity the fool.
Vanderbilt professor Claire Cisco King says when it comes to memorable sports moments, she thinks catchphrases become more of a branding apparatus.
It becomes a piece of portable memorabilia from the show, not dissimilar to merchandise that you might sell for the show. And of course, catchphrases often end up on merchandise. And so that is an important reminder of the ways in which journalism, sports journalism, that these are also contexts where the personalities have to build an identity for themselves.
Not to be outdone, commercial writers found sales success with memorable jingles and taglines.
Please don't squeeze the new Charmin.
And thank you for your support.
Chicken that is finger-licking good.
He likes it. Hey, Mikey.
I've fallen, and I can't get up.
They keep going and going.
Vanderbilt's Cisco King says a memorable commercial catchphrase can build a successful brand, but it can also bomb.
It's a nice reminder that these phrases are high stakes, right? If they work, they can be tremendous for a product, for a brand, for a program. But if they go poorly, they can be picked up and turned into fodder for gossip or humor.
Over the years, we have seen many other memorable genres, from late-night TV.
Here's Johnny.
Ladies and gentlemen, here's tonight's top 10 list. Let's go.
To children's shows.
Please won't you be my neighbor?
What time is it, kids? Time.
To animated programs that weren't always for children.
Cowabunga! Alvin! Don't! And what's up, Doc?
Throughout television history, game shows have often produced memorable catchphrases.
Come on down!
Deal or no deal? Is that your final answer?
Even reality TV.
You're fired.
But the one show that has likely produced more memorable lines did not air in prime time and has been on the air nearly 40 years. Saturday Night Live.
We just want to pop you off. Well, excuse me!
Not gonna do it. Wouldn't be prudent.
We are two wild and crazy guys!
You're looking marvelous, darling.
Jane, you ignorant slut.
Well, isn't that special?
WKU professor Tony Harkins finds it interesting why some things become catchphrases, some do not, while other lines from a show are not intended to become memorable but stick with the public.
For instance, in the Brady Bunch, the Marsha, Marsha, Marsha line was just one line of dialogue. I think that's a really fascinating thing to think about, not so much the ones that the show, like Nanu Nanu, that the show kind of builds into the show, but the ones that become catchphrases that were never catchphrases. And then people later think, oh, they must have said that all the time, but, you know, it was only said once.
Vanderbilt professor Claire Cisco King says regardless of the genre, one of the things these memorable lines illustrate, whether it is fictional television or reality TV, catchphrases construct a sense of self.
And a sense of identity that gets tied to what they watch, what they do for fun, what they read, where they go. And by using these phrases, they can articulate a sense of who they are to themselves, but also to communicate that sense to others.
That's all, folks.
I'm Terry Likes.
This tape will self-destruct in 5 seconds.
You're listening to Tennessee Matters on the Tennessee Radio Network.